just smooth. Hello and welcome to another RiderCamTV review. And in this video, we're reviewing the Honda CB1100RS. Now I've just jumped on this bike, literally just jumped on it. And the very first impression for me on this bike is, wow, how smooth is the engine? It is so smooth, it's untrue. Now this bike has about 89 horsepower. It's got about 90 Newton meters of torque. It's about 250 odd kilos with a 16 litre tank or 16.8 litre tank. And this is a very retro bike. Very retro styled bike, but for the 21st century. Now there seems to be quite a few retro style bikes on the market. You would have seen in a previous video the BMW R9T Pure that I've reviewed. And that's along the same sort of lines really, very retro styled, but for the 21st century. So this is the Honda. Honda are renowned for making exceptionally good machines. Not only are they renowned for making exceptionally good machines where you can see that even the engine casings are smooth on the outside, but when you delve deeper and look behind the scenes, you can see that they're just as smooth and refined in places that you wouldn't normally look. And over some of the other makes of bike, that really does show that they've thought about what they're doing and that they're just amazing engineers, really. Now, the visibility on this bike is really as good as any other bike with no screen and no fairing, because it is a naked bike. For me, the mirrors are slightly in the wrong place, and I think if I was to have one of these bikes, I'd have to get some extenders to move the mirrors out slightly, as I can see a lot of my elbows and some of my shoulders in, and I've adjusted them a couple of times before I moved away, but it doesn't really give me a view of what exactly is behind me. Honda make a couple of versions of this bike, the 1100EX and the 1100RS, and the EX is very much along the same lines as being very retro. The indicators are the retro chrome type looking indicators. The bodywork is very retro, the tank is very retro. You get the theme here, it's a very retro bike. Whereas the RS, that's taken that retro bike and it's changed things, it's moulded things. So you've got a moulded tank, you've got a refined frame with just added little differences. Now there's many regulations in the UK and I'm sure across the world with regards to the noise that a bike should make and the maximum permitted noise levels. Now this obviously falls into being regulated by those bits of legislation, but what it has got is a lovely low burbering, a lovely low tone, just ticking along, and I'm sure when we get to open it up on a few twisties a bit later, that noise will just be heaven. I think Honda are billing it as being able to go for about 185, 186 miles on a tank, which isn't a small journey. It's not a great long journey, but it would cater to many needs of an owner of one of these bikes. So the instruments on this bike are really plain, really clear to see. They kind of run along the idea that Honda have got, I think, that rather than having Gucci gadgets to explain what's going on with the bike, what they've done is given some very easy to read dials and some very easy to read digits within the display that are fully functional, that give you all the information that you need when you need it, without all that fanciness, so that the fanciness comes from actually owning and being on the bike. It is a key, so nice to have somewhere to put your key these days, rather than having a keyless ride where you forget where you put the keys. I love the bits of chrome that they've put on here. Chrome on the mirrors, just here, chrome handlebars. And on this bike, in comparison to the other version of the 1100, it's got uprated brakes, it's got slightly different size wheels, it's got uprated suspension, uprated frame, and all those good bits that make for a good ride. And this is, although retro for the 21st century, it's a very cafe racer-esque style. And I know there's a massive following for cafe racer type bikes. And this is the first cafe racer type bike that I've actually ridden. And I can really see why all those people are big fans of cafe racer bikes, especially for me, the ones that are in the modern age, because the power of this bike is immense. The sound is beautiful. It's quite a pleasurable bike to ride. The seat, as you can imagine, is one solid seat, but it's actually very comfortable. And my seating position, although I'm forward more than I would be on my adventure bike, it's quite comfortable. And it's really responsive around the corners too. It's got presence, and you know that where you're going to point the bike, it's going to go. And I know that sounds silly, but on some bikes they feel a little bit disconnected. But on this bike, I really do feel connected to the bike and connected to the road. The brakes are very good, as you would imagine. They have been uprated from the EX model. The switchgear on this bike is the same switchgear as I saw on the Africa Twin in a previous video. I'll put the card up there. Very well labelled. You know exactly what each button is. They're good size buttons so that you know that you're going to press them, and there's some good feedback from the buttons as well when you press them, so you know that you have pressed them and there's no doubt that you've kind of missed an indicator or missed an indication. Now, this bike doesn't look to have heated grips, and I'm not sure whether you can add those things on at a later date, but I'm kind of thinking that if you've got a bike like this, would you really want to add all of those bits on there? Would you be using this bike for a commuter to take it to work? I guess most people having this sort of bike, this would be a day out fun ride with the guys or with a group of friends, as opposed to a bike that's going to be left out on show overnight getting wet. It's going to be a bike that people, I think, will buy and really take care of, have it in their garage, make sure it's polished, bring it out, but not on wet days so much, and really enjoy riding it with a group of friends. The ride is very smooth on this bike, not only from the power of the engine and the power delivery, but also the suspension. Now, it has been uprated from the other model, but it's not bumpy. It's not hugely bumpy at all. It's quite a pleasure to be sat on, actually. And Cornwall's renowned for some lovely roads to ride on, but it's also renowned, much like the rest of the UK, for having potholes and bumps everywhere. And although this road isn't the bumpiest, it's also not the smoothest of roads, and yet I'm getting really quite a comfortable, smooth ride. The gear shift and the brake pedal are just in the right place. I don't feel crunched up. I feel very comfortable, and I'm not fishing around to find them at all. And that sound. It's not quite as beefy as the BMW R9T sound, but it has got quite a nice sound to it, especially when you're able to open it up. And being a 4-cylinder, the engine braking isn't quite as good as a twin, and that's to be expected, but by God, it's smooth. No vibrations through the pegs, through the seat, through the handlebars. Just smooth. But it's certainly got power. I mean, that was just in third, just to get past a couple of cars that clearly are not going very quick at all. And it's only a 60-mile-an-hour limit here, and that was very smooth. The pickup is progressive. Rather than you pulling the throttle back and you get an instant amount of power that you can't cope with, it just seems to be very progressive through the power. So it gives you that confidence that you're picking up speed rather than, oh my gosh, I'm suddenly at too fast and I need to slow down again. And I think you'll agree, it's a spectacular looking bike. Really retro, brought into the 21st century, and very cafe racer-esque. So the switchgear that Honda have put on this bike is their standard switchgear, really well labelled, really defined press when you press it, giving you confidence that when you do put your indicators on, when you put your hazards on, when you turn the bike on and off, you get a really nice click. The dials on the speedo and the dashboard are very easy to read. Standard font, nice font to be able to read. Very basic, but it goes with the retro theme and certainly the cafe racer style. Now the CB1100RS has got big, huge indicators and retro lights, but you can see on this 1100RS that they've actually got LED lights, and even though the front light is in a retro style, as you can see, actually when you look inside the light there's so many gadgets in there and gizmos that they've really thought about the lights. They've really thought about the stuff that they've put into this bike. Two massive horns on the front, let's hear what they sound like. Really, really nice. I love that sound. Very piercing, very loud. You're certainly going to get noticed with those, and I really wish, as in previous videos, that bike manufacturers would put decent horns on their bike. The RS over the EX has got uprated brakes, brake discs, uprated suspension, slightly different size wheels, and I like the wheels that they've put on there, that they're not spoked for this. I don't think spokes would look that, they just wouldn't look in tune with the style of the bike. And moving on to the radiator, it's up high, so you're not going to be worried by things flicking up and damaging the radiator from the road. And those pipes, don't they look amazing? Lovely chrome pipes by the looks of it, so to keep them shiny would take a lot of work, but boy, keeping them tidy and clean really does make the bike look nice. And they've gone for big round chrome mirrors on this bike, and it certainly fits the feel of the bike and gives you a good clear view, although I would extend these out slightly or get extenders, because I do see my elbows and my shoulders in the mirror quite a bit. Now coming on to the tank has been crafted giving it much more of a cafe racer style look. On the 1100EX it's a very basic tank, whereas they've actually themed this to go with the bike. The engine, as you would imagine, 4-cylinder, beautiful engine, and this is what I mean by the workmanship of Honda. If you can see in there's a seam between where the parts of the engine fit, and they're so smooth. Everything in there is clean, detailed, smooth, handcrafted almost. Very good quality. I like the styling, bit of brushed aluminium type looking material there to match the casings on the engine, just to give it that little bit of a pop, make it look a little bit more special. Now I love what they've done on the back of the bike here, where they've put Showa shocks on, and they've actually put them in yellow. Now this is a black bike, but that yellow just makes it pop, makes it look beautiful. And inside, behind the wheel on the swing arm, it looks like an aluminium swing arm. I'm not sure whether it is aluminium, but it gives that appearance. Brushed aluminium almost. So this is a one-piece seat, but very soft, very comfortable. And although I've only done 20-30 miles on this bike, not felt any pressure at all, just been nothing other than comfortable. Now, as with the front lights on this bike, staying with the retro theme with the shape of it, but inside there are some up-to-date LEDs, so, you know, giving the advantage of a 21st century technology, but on an older looking bike. I also like the fact that they've put two cans on, one each side. As very often I think some bikes that just have one can, they kind of look a little bit overweighted to one side, even though they're not. The impression is that they're not even, but this, I mean, look at that. That does look impressive. And those cans, they are beautiful, aren't they? You also get a center stand here and a side stand, and as we said earlier on, that side stand, when you push this down, it doesn't need you to put much force, and then it flicks down. So let's hear this beautiful machine start up. Hear that lovely burble, that beautiful throaty burble that it's giving out. And some engines that you hear ticking over, you can hear the tappets or, you know, that sort of sound, even though they might not have tappets. I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but this just sounds smooth. And there's no clunk when you put it into first gear, nothing at all. I feel quite at ease on this bike, and I'd say that BMW's R9T Pure and this one are on a par with each other, to be honest. And I think if you're trying to make a choice between the two bikes, both of them are incredibly accomplished motorbikes, built on a sound technology of the engines, built by extremely experienced companies. And I guess it's going to come down to what you want more, whether you want a twin or whether you want a four-cylinder, whether you like the noise that the R9T Pure makes or whether you like the noise that this makes. But gosh, does it go. I think I could actually ride this bike all day long. It's quite strange though. Just noticed that a couple of times, even though it's felt as though the bike has gone into gear, a couple of times the gear selector here has shown just a single dashed line. I'm not sure whether that's a false reading on the dashboard or whether it was not properly in gear, but it certainly felt as though it was in gear, which is a bit odd, and that's the second time it's happened. So all in all, I think this is an extremely accomplished bike, not only in the accomplishments of being able to make it retro, but to bring it into the 21st century, but to make it really comfortable, appealing to people that might not have thought about one of these bikes before, made it look nice, have added lots of different features, and it's so smooth. Another great Honda smooth piece of kit. So I'd love to give a massive shout out to Colin at Honda at Damerells and the team for allowing RiderCamTV to take their bikes out and give you a bit of a review on them. If you've liked the video, give it a massive thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there, and we'll see you in the next one.